Okay. In attendance today is myself, Mr. Jordan, Commissioner Jordan, and Commissioner Ardash should be with us shortly. I'll go down the agenda. So to follow up, I want to follow up on the town hall event report out and basically try to get an idea of what the impact was. Because I held the one on August 12th at the West Oakland Library. And I think we had about roughly 20 people showed up. The main feedback out of that town hall was everybody's frustrated with the level of crime. And I got a list from one of the community members, a very comprehensive list of the criteria for the new police chief. Also, if there's any community members on this meeting today, I'd like to know if you attended the town hall meetings, I'd like to know what we could have done better. Okay, at this point, I want to hand this over to Commissioner Jordan to discuss the thoughts and ideas about supervised released inquiry policy assessment and the facilitation of that. Did you want to?
Before I move on to that, I just want to say that first so I attended the other community forum out at the library in East Oakland.
Oh, that same day? The same day, that's right. Okay,
day, yeah. And so it was very well attended, and there was a spectrum of concerns voiced. I think the largest sort of points of consensus were that folks felt like they wanted somebody who ideally was from here or at least familiar with the city, and was, you know, sort of capable of understanding the history and the socioeconomic and racial dynamics here. There was a lot of mistrust of city government in general right now, and you know, of course, there was a lot of sort of supportive voices for former Chief Armstrong, a lot of regret voiced around his firing, and but I would say by and large it was a really strong showing, and we really appreciated. Their notes were taken, it was recorded, and so I'm also on that ad hoc. Rudy and I are both on that ad hoc, the chief search ad hoc, and so we are currently in the process of aggregating all of that data, putting everything together so that we can start pulling out points from that to draft a job description, but also a sort of a listing for just sort of the open position right now, and that is the intent. So we are looking at so it sounds like we had about 170 something survey respondents online.
Wow.
And the total of the community, or the total of the community forums was also right in there around 150 something. So pretty good amount of folks. And then there were about a dozen folks that the consultants themselves did one-on-one interviews with. Those folks were city government, police department, police commissioners, city council, the mayor, or at least somebody from the mayor's office. And so we're also in the process of putting together a document around what that group of people expressed around their values, and trying to find the path forward with all of those varied perspectives, and they are varied. So that's where we are with that. But I think that this has been a very successful community outreach effort in general.
Yeah, thank you for the report out. Do you have the number of what showed the people that showed up in East Oakland, the same day that we did the one in West Oakland? You know how many people roughly?
It was in the 40s.
40s?
I don't
Okay.
remember exactly off the top of my head. Kelly had sent out an email. I believe she sent it out to the whole commission. Plus, I think one of the most important things that came out of that was that we took the sign-in sheets for all of the community outreach efforts and added those to a list of folks that had expressed interest in being kept up to date and are creating a ongoing distribution list that I think we're hoping to add to and make sort of a living document so that we have better one of the big issues that people expressed was that they felt like we didn't do enough outreach in advance of these community forums so that people knew that they were happening. And so we're trying to remedy that. And so that is in the process. I believe Kelly sent out all of the timeline and there was a pie chart showing all of the how many people attended which community outreach effort and
Okay.
so that went out last week.
All right. Do you know, did anybody from the community say how much lead time they would want before a notice before an event occurs? Did anybody speak on that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anyone very specifically said how much time they would have preferred. I think we just heard more time. Kind of in every single one of them, we heard people say more time. I'm not sure, clearly the first two community forums, had less than 10 people at the Meech. The Zoom one had something around mid-70s, I believe.
Okay.
And then the following weekend, the two additional in-person community forums both had yours. You said 20 something?
Yeah, I had about 20. Yeah, average. I'd say about 20.
And the other one had in the 40s at one point. And so
Okay.
those were clearly a lot more successful. So I think a lot of that had to do with outreach by the commissioners involved, as well as press that came out of those first two community forums that were covered pretty thoroughly by the press. So that was helpful. And there's I don't know that necessarily we can expect to reach that many eyes with our own sort of internal outreach efforts as many as we were likely to get from the amount of press that we received. So, but it's an ongoing process. One that's probably going to have to be tinkered with for the entire time the commission is in existence, is my guess.
Okay. And then Commissioner Ordaz, did you want to report out on your event did you make it to that event this weekend that you had told me about?
Yes, I certainly did. Good evening, everyone. Apologies for being a few minutes late. I am calling from my phone, so I am off camera. So I attended this weekend and just give me 1 second so that I can actually pull it up and I
Sure.
don't misspeak. It is the ALA event. And ALA stands for the African American Latino Action Alliance. They hosted a panel called Our Black and Brown History, Our Present Realities and Future Actions Together. And it was really around how we can build Black and Brown unity around the issues that impact our communities, and really making sure that, this is an ongoing dialogue between our communities, and really is a multi-generational conversation. On the panel, there were folks who were youth, and then we had elders as well that were also quite involved in the planning and execution of such event. They had great turnout. I would say they had about maybe 40 or 50 people. Commissioner Peterson was there, as well as IG Phillips and other community partners. It was a great turnout. it was wonderful to connect with people outside of City Hall. And I expect that they're going to have another set of panels. So they will keep us posted, and they actually have funding for this work. So I suspect they will continue and bring in the commission as appropriate.
Thank you. So as of today, then no date for the next event, right? Not yet?
Not yet, no.
Okay, okay, but they'll send us a notice out or something, or did you, is there a mailing list you got on?
I did share my contact information. They were asking for sign-in sheets or folks to sign in. I am part of this planning work through my job, through Resilient
Okay.
Fruit Bear, which is a collaborative. So I suspect that I will find out more details either in this capacity or that capacity, and I will keep
Thank
you all
you.
informed.
Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So I want to move down to the supervised release inquiry policy assessment and the facilitation of that. And I'll let Commissioner Jordan lead on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I put together a proposal as I said I would after our last meeting 2 weeks ago. Roughly 2 weeks ago, I believe.
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
And so I did send that out to you guys. It was also on the agenda for the most recent commission meeting. So it has sort of been out there. People can have, ideally, anyone who's interested has already digested that material. And so kind of everything I need to say about it is there in sort of in black and white. But I'm happy to sort of go through it sort of line by line, or at least point by point quickly, without sort of getting too deep into the weeds on that, if you like.
So it's basically like action items, like what would you like us to do as the outreach committee to support you in this, in doing this and getting it done? So just like action items and next steps.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as 1 second. 1 sec. Sorry, Commissioner Ordaz, you had your hand up for a second. Did you have something you wanted to say?
I just had a question, but then I heard you say you would run through it, so I'll just wait. If you're able to walk us through it, I can just ask the question. I defer to you. What's the most effective?
I am fine either way. Feel free to ask your question.
My only question was around the number of interviews conducted. I didn't see a number of hours or a number of participants. And then my, I guess, second question, following up Commissioner Howell, is what role would you like us to play, and what do you see as the immediate next steps?
So 1 second, I'm just was gonna can you guys see that?
Yes.
Great. Okay, that way we all are looking at the same thing. So to your question, Commissioner Ordaz, I don't actually have an answer for you. As I said at our last meeting, my target would be ideally at least 50 people, given our relatively short time frame. I think that is a reasonable target. I'm thinking that because people who are on supervised release are not the only ones who are potentially going to experience this. Anyone, sorry, one of my kids is downstairs yelling.
We can't hear them, by the way.
I'm glad, because he's really going for it down there. It's dinner time, and they're wrapping up dinner, I think, and stuff is happening. So ideally, we would partner with organizations that are working within the reentry population. I've already reached out to a couple places. And there's a couple other places that we have sort of in mind. So ideally we do at least three or four forums. We kind of have to rely on those organizations to do recruitment and vetting of who is appropriate for this community forum. And I don't really have a way of knowing exactly how many folks those might be. My target budget-wise for incentivizing those community forums is at around 50 people, so 50 gift cards, 50 individuals. You know, if it turns out we end up, you know, using all of those more rapidly than we thought we would, then, you know, I put in a contingency in the budget for an additional 50. I think that that's probably a little unlikely. Additionally, I would like to use whatever means necessary we can put out into the community and have an online survey similar to what we did with the chief search, because yes, this is a question that is most pertinent to people who are on supervised release currently right now, but they aren't the only ones who get asked this question. I mean, potentially anyone getting pulled over is getting asked if they're on probation or parole or some other variant of supervised release. And so I'd like to hear from anyone who has potentially been stopped by OPD and whether they were asked this question, under what circumstances, and you know what that looked like. And so my intention is to also put together an online survey that will live on the outreach committee website for, you know, the length of a month or so. Does that answer your question around how many folks?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so as it says here, the objective is to put together, you know, a qualitative assessment of this policy. The police department can often be relied to provide us with quantitative information around the number of stops, sometimes demographics, sometimes geographic information around those stops. But I think that the particular language that we're looking at here with this policy really does need to be addressed from a quantitative experiential perspective. So that is our intention. So as it says here, methodology is, you know, we're going to partner with community-based organizations to recruit and vet participants, focus groups, facilitated focus groups, to assess sort of what people's experience were, and potentially I think we're open to doing one-on-one interviews if folks have had some very, very significant and applicable experiences around this particular issue. As I said, survey to get that will allow us. I'd like anyone doing the focus group to also fill out this survey, which, you know, potentially will give us quantitative demographic information and other sort of context that will help frame the qualitative information we get from the interviews and the focus groups. And, you know, essentially we are trying to get a sense of what is the community awareness of this policy? What is the community perception of, you know, how this policy functions, and, you know, whether it is effective, what is the impact on the experience, and how folks, I mean, nobody getting pulled over or stopped by the police and potentially being asked whether they're on supervised release, even if it's done respectfully and within policy, is going to be having a good day, is my guess. So I think what that looks like is going to be pretty consistently not a great experience, is what we're going to be hearing, but they're bad experiences and they're bad experiences. And I think if you've ever interacted with the police, you can recognize that. Part of that is part of the policy is the idea of sort of what immediate threat and what justifies inquiring about that whether a supervised release and how the community perceives that idea of immediate threat. So the intention is to do this all confidentially. Information will only be presented in aggregate, and everyone will come in there sort of understanding that they are giving consent to share their personal experiences and stories, but that they will only be shared confidentially or anonymously. So ideally, I've already started a little bit of the outreach, and I've already started a little bit of the planning around questionnaire, the survey, and sort of the framing device for the forums. I don't have it in sort of a written format that I'm comfortable sharing tonight, but I have been working on it. So ideally, we can begin the process of putting these forms together within the next few weeks, within the next 2 weeks, ideally. We do need to have the commission vote on the gift cards. That is the only piece of this that needs to be approved necessarily by the full commission. But we are sort of on hold as far as that goes for the time being. And, then the sort of process of analyzing, synthesizing the data, putting everything together, drawing up a document that shows sort of what we're looking at around trends and experiences for folks that participated in this, and compiling a final assessment, and showing sort of what our conclusions are, and potentially even coming up with recommendations depending on what those conclusions look like. So that is what I have as far as that goes. Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. So how many questions are you going to have on the survey?
I'd like to keep it relatively short, although I will keep it include a text box for sort of an other answer to give people an opportunity to provide a sort of more long form answer if they feel necessary. My experience with doing these kinds of surveys is you push it out much past 6 to 8 questions, you lose a lot of people.
Okay.
So ideally, I'd keep it closer to 6 questions, if not less. I think it's going to be a process of kind of putting our heads together and deciding what is really the most pertinent things that need to be in there, and what is going to actually accomplish the goal. Sometimes putting these things together, it's when thinking in advance of the actual, when the rubber hits the road, sometimes you recognize like, oh, maybe this was not how we frame this, or how we move forward with this is not actually serving us in getting the kind of data that would be truly useful. So I'm putting a lot of thought into that right now.
Okay. Okay. So 6 to 8 questions, and then would you like the public, Commissioner Ordaz, myself, to contribute any of these questions to float around and we can hash them out? Or
Yeah.
do you need to have like a deadline that you want us to turn, like what, 3 or 4 questions in, 2 questions? What would you like us to support you?
So ideally at our, we will be working sort of concurrently on putting the materials together and doing the outreach and scheduling of forums. And so I'd like to meet again in 2 weeks, and we we'll have a draft of a survey. I find that doing sort of a survey looks slightly different than something that is what I think of as like an interview guide for a facilitated community forum or focus group is really kind of what it is. So my intention is to put together an interview guide, an outline for the focus group, as well as a survey, and those things will have a lot of commonality, but they're not quite going to be quite the same document. And I will get those to you, both of you, well before the next meeting.
Okay.
Ideally, I'll have them, next week. And but in the meantime, feel free to give me questions that you think are pertinent, and I will begin adding them in. I'm already
Okay.
sort of starting to assemble this in a real sort of basic way right now.
Okay, all right, sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna put the email in the chat for the community if they want to contribute. They want, questions that they can contribute, they can send them to the email, and then just put community outreach ad hoc in the subject line, and you'll have the email.
So that's really
Okay.
kind of all I have. I'm open to thoughts and ideas about next steps and how to move forward. I don't presume to have all the answers,
Yeah, so that was gonna be my next question. So we're on the timeline that I read in the document you produced there. You're saying week 1 and 2. So is this week 1 and 2, or was that the last meeting?
well, this was intended to be week 1 and 2, but
Okay,
we got set back by not being able to get the gift cards approved at the last meeting.
okay,
So nevertheless, I've been working on the other things. So ideally, by the time we have our next meeting of this ad hoc committee, we will have potentially already scheduled some of the focus groups
okay,
and sites, and begun working with those community-based organizations to recruit and have some greater idea of what our numbers are potentially going to look like. And when that happens, we will, ideally, immediately after the next ad hoc meeting, we will go live with an online survey that we can then
Okay.
start pushing out to the community.
okay. So
Commissioner
what do
Dodd?
we need? Oh, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, and sorry to interrupt here. I'm just also wondering if we're gonna have a flyer, and just let me know when we're ready. Well, it sounds like you're already reaching out to partners, but if there's a flyer with more information, I can start sharing it as well.
Yeah, I mean, but when the survey goes live, we will definitely want to have a flyer that we can share online and in email through our distribution group that we're developing, and in whatever format that makes sense. So I think one of the things we've learned is in the chief search ad hoc around doing the outreach for the community forums is we can't really rely on the city and their public information apparatus. I don't necessarily think it was especially effective, and I'm not sure why. We are still trying to figure out exactly what avenues they took, but clearly, we need to be engaging more fully with things like social media. And I've suggested this before. I put together an outreach outline 2 years ago that said that the commission should have it's not just be relying on Twitter, because Twitter is it's old news. Some people still actively engage in Twitter, and it is useful in its own way, but to say, oh, we only have a Twitter, I think is not enough. And I think as the outreach committee, we should be working on that. But again, those things, because they are sort of represent the city, have to be sort of carefully controlled, and the city has a lot of guidelines around what that looks like. But if you have your own TikTok and your own Instagram accounts and what have you, Nextdoor, so forth, I'm sure people still use Facebook. That is, we can be doing that as individuals, but but the commission itself should have that as well. And those things should be like on the commission website where people can see them. You know, it's a lot to do, and you know, who has time to do all that stuff, especially when you are dealing with sort of city bureaucracy. But ideally, yeah, all of those things. So
Okay.
yes, flyer. If one of you guys feels like, you know, drafting a flyer, I'm completely happy to hand that off and not do all of this.
What do you think, Commissioner Ordaz? Are you a graphic
Yeah.
artist?
I'm not,
Okay.
but I can whip something up and I can
Okay.
share it with y'all for feedback.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right. And then what steps do we need to take to get the gift cards on the agenda so we can vote on them? What do we?
It's on the agenda already.
Okay, for this Thursday.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Okay, perfect. And then what partners have you spoken with already? Because we know we got the core center. And then what we were thinking, like get 10 participants from each org, or what are you thinking there?
Yeah, I mean, as many as they are, you know, willing to help us recruit. But I think that we've worked it previously with All of Us or None. I think that's a good place to start. Center for Economic Opportunity. I have a connection there. And I also have a connection at the Dream Center. And so I've you know, tentatively reached out to them. They may be a little more, a little less likely to be interested in hosting something, because it's a sort of, it's like transitional housing, reentry housing. So
Okay,
they, you know, I know that sometimes that can be, they can be a little, play things close to the vest, because community doesn't always love those housing sites.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to blow up their spot and make things difficult for them. But so I've reached out sort of tentatively already, but I haven't done anything sort of concrete about scheduling yet. Looks like we
Okay.
have a question in the chat.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Let
Let me see.
Oh,
Let me see, where is it?
that's just you putting the
Oh, that was me putting that out. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I am interested if neither of you have additional thoughts. I'm curious if any of the attendees have any thoughts around this particular thing, or you know, in the time we have left to us, thoughts on additional efforts.
Okay. So what I wanted to also ask, so with the transitional housing stuff, we could probably still distribute the survey or the link to the online survey, because they can still contribute that way and still be eligible for the gift card incentive. So yeah, even if they don't want to host an event, they can do it that way.
I mean, we could also just encourage them to attend one of the other. They can help recruit
exactly
to attend one of the other other sites potentially. And you know, there's a lot of intersection between folks who are, you know, living in reentry housing, transitional housing, and accessing services at CORE, for example. I'm sure, or you know, engaging in things at All of Us or None. I'm sure there's a lot of overlap in clients. So we'll just, you know, do what we can do. So if you could reach out to your folks at CORE, and I will reach out to the other folks and see if we can get some, you know, they all have sites where we can physically host potentially. So
okay.
really that will, you know, I'm hoping for at least 3 focus groups.
Okay.
And I'm hoping for at least 10 per group. That would be great. But I'm optimistic that we'll get more.
Okay. And do you have times like after work, afternoons? What were you thinking about the timing of it, of facilitating the at the sites, the event at the sites?
Honestly, hadn't even thought about it.
Okay.
I'm open to whatever right now. It might be that weekends are best, but
Okay.
I think that also because we are really relying on our community partners here to to help us out with providing both a site and doing recruitment for us, we kind of got to go with what they want is my
Okay.
guess. So I don't really like, I'm pretty open, but I think we won't know until they give us feedback around what works for them, is my sense.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll go tomorrow to the core center and I'll get what times we could, what we, when they would be allow us to use it. After work, during work, however, or the weekends, and then get those times and I'll get those back to you.
Great.
Okay. Okay, so if we're going by your schedule, this is week 1 and week 2, and then we're going to go into conduct focus groups, and that's what we just kind of discussed here with the partners, the times, and then distributing the surveys. So that's where we're on A and B right now. Okay.
And if things move more quickly, we can move more quickly. If people feel like, if we have a lot of enthusiasm for it, we can get that ball rolling as quickly as possible.
Okay.
So we can, the three of us can approve those surveys and things like that off, like via emails in the intervening time between now and the next meeting. So I'm just kind of playing it by ear and seeing where we end up. And if there's enthusiasm for it, then I'm prepared to sort of move quickly if necessary.
Okay. We have a hand up, Miss Asada. Let me see what she says. Okay.
I think she wants to speak.
Yeah, okay, Miss Asada, go ahead. Can you talk? Can you hear us? Let me can you unmute yourself? What's the, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, hear
Yep.
you perfectly. Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to comment on the possibility of how we could expand outreach. I've started this year working at McClymonds High School, trying to work on making some effort to have the young people more inclusive in community. And so we had this week someone who came out and explained how city governance works, how City Hall works. Is it a possibility to look at coming to the high school to speak to a class about the police commission? And is that something that's could happen possibly?
Oh, definitely. Give me, oh, go ahead, Jordan.
I was going to say, yeah, for sure. In just before COVID, Commissioner Dorado and I had discussed collaborating with a group that was doing sort of know your rights presentations for youth,
Okay.
and scheduling a sort of collaborative outreach for the commission, and just sort of letting people know what the commission is and what it actually does, coupled with a know your rights presentation.
Yeah, that would be great. So I'm in touch with the community manager, Mr. McGee. And so who would be the contact person to facilitate this possibility? So I could let him know.
Yeah, just give me days and times, and then I'll look at my schedule. And then if Commissioner Jordan wants to join in to do the know your rights, we will come up there depending on his schedule. If not, I'll make it either way.
Okay.
And then we'll do a presentation. Just shoot me some days and times that works for your classroom.
Yeah, I mean, you could also just have your contact there, McClymonds, reach out to us.
Oh,
Any one
that
of
too,
them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
all three of
okay.
us potentially.
Okay. Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
All right. Well, anything else before any other thoughts around next steps or things that are sort of beyond after this assessment piece?
Okay, I think we're pretty good because we're into the week 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So we'll get that hatched out and start moving on that. so we can get this knocked out. Did you want to touch on, I think maybe you did already, about expected outcomes of all of this? Did you already touch on that?
Yeah, I mean, I
Okay.
just, yeah, I think
Okay.
I covered that.
Okay, so then what I want to move on next to then is the remaining summer events. And if anybody knows of any other events coming up for the remainder of the summer, please let us know. For right now, I have on the list, we have the Day of the Dead in October. Do we have an exact date in October?
November.
November? It's in
Yeah.
November?
No, it's October 29th.
October
And it
29th.
starts at around 11 till about 5 or 6 o'clock.
11 a.m. to 5 or 6. And then that's going to be all of Oakland, or is there a particular area? There's an event being hosted. Is it in Fruitvale? Do you know?
Yep, it's every year it's in Fruitvale.
Fruitvale.
We close International between Fruitvale and 42nd Ave. We also close East 12th Street. And this is a
Oh, okay.
27th annual.
27th annual. Okay. Now, is it a walk, or is there booths to set up tabling, or is it everybody's just kind of marching along the street, or how's that look?
No, there are opportunities for booths. We do charge though, so I can find out if we can get one either for free or at a discount. Are you available to staff it? I'm gonna
Yeah.
be working that day.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's my plan. Yeah, my plan would be to if I have to take the let me see what day that is.
a Sunday.
It's a Sunday. Oh yeah, and then from 11 to 5. Yeah. Let me let's see if we can get a table, and I'll man the table and have the flyers and all that stuff to hand out.
Okay, great.
Yeah, just let me know. Keep me posted on that one. Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, so that's October 29th, Sunday. Okay, and then does anybody know if all of us or none? I know they usually have like different summer events. I haven't got any flyers or anything from them lately, but has anybody heard of anything from all of us or none for summer events for the remainder of the summer? I'll check in with them. I'll check in. Let me put that down. Check in with Dorsey. Okay. And does anybody else know of just any other events that are coming up between now and October? I guess October. When's summer end? Like September, beginning of October. Is there any more?
Looks like Mrs. Sada has a hand up.
Okay. Go ahead, Mrs. Sada.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yep.
Okay. Has Art and Soul taken place? It's past, huh?
I wasn't sure.
Art and Soul?
sure.
I don't
I had it
remember
on the list,
happening.
but I wasn't sure if it happened yet. Let me look it
Yeah,
up.
because a lot of times tables are set up by the city for distribution at Art and Soul. And another big event is First Fridays on Telegraph. Their tables set up, but it's a big, huge success. And the
Okay.
California Museum has events. I can't remember how often, but outside event that gets a lot of attendance because a lot of it has to do with music. So those are ones where I know we get pretty good turnout. And of course, we can look at some of our big churches like Allen Temple,
Okay.
just to name one, where we can, and in my church, St. Benedict's has a good showing. But the churches, and I'm trying to think of some school events because we want our young people to start participating in
Definitely.
some of this stuff. But I do know First Friday is real big.
Okay,
And I can't remember if Art and Soul has happened yet, but that's another one. That's Saturday and Sunday, and the city lets you put tables out there, and you don't have to pay a fee either.
okay,
Sure.
okay.
Okay. So
And then
yeah, those
before you go, California Museum, is that the one in downtown? Is that the museum you're
that's the
referring
one
to?
over there by Laney College.
Yeah, okay, that's the one I was thinking. Okay, the
Yeah,
Oakland Museum.
over there by Laney. Hmm. And the African American Culture Zone. I can't remember their names. I don't think they're doing much anything, but they have like a space where they're supposed to have events going on.
Do you know where that location's at?
Over by Eastmont Mall,
Eastmont,
and
okay.
yeah, right across from the McDonald's in
Okay,
Eastmont Mall. Hmm.
and it's called the African Culture what?
It's the African Culture Zone.
Zone, okay, got it.
They have
All right, I'll check
stuff
it
there
out.
on the weekends. They have like a farmer's market and stuff on the weekends, so.
Okay,
Yeah. Oh, that
all right.
farmers market over there across the street from Lakeview is every Saturday. Uh, you can walk through the community, but a lot of people don't live in Oakland. They come from various, but every Saturday, and then they have the market, and it's really crowded. So,
Oh, the
Yeah.
farmer's market on Lakeshore?
yeah,
Oh,
it's right across from Lakeview School, between
okay,
Grant
I know what you're talking about, yeah,
and
by
what's
the
the
gym over
George
there.
Theater. You know the theater
Yep,
that's on Grant. Hmm.
okay,
Every Saturday, it's a big crowd of people that show up.
okay,
Mhm.
all right, thank you.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, we got 4 more minutes left, so I wanted to discuss the schedule for the next meeting, September 4th. That's gonna be a Monday, the first Monday of September, 6 p.m. Or we gotta do it 7:30, do we know?
That's a holiday. Can we
Oh,
not meet on a holiday? It's
is it
Labor
a
Day.
holiday? Oh, it sure is. Oh, so we gotta do it for the 11th, okay. All right, so I'll see if we can do it for the 11th at 6 p.m. If they have another meeting before ours, then it'll be 7:30 again. So, but I'll find out what the deal is on that one. Okay. Do we have any more input or feedback from the community, the commissioners? We got approximately 2 minutes left. And I'll just leave everybody with this. We encourage the community to email us with more thoughts and ideas on how to serve our Oakland community the best. You can email us at opc@oaklandcommission.org with community outreach ad hoc in the subject line. All right, if there's no other comments or input, we're gonna say this meeting is adjourned.
All right, thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
All right, have a good one.
See you.
All right, have a good one.